Hi everyone, welcome to Girl Talk, a show that celebrates women and all those who honor women. This is your host, Andrea, and I am super duper excited for this episode because I will be interviewing one of my lodis in life. Wani siya sagol char, tinuoray gyud ni siya. She is an award-winning film and theater actress, singer, and songwriter who has just recently arrived from Ireland after shooting an international film alongside Hollywood stars Eva Green and Mark Strong. Find out who she is when we return here at Girl Talk. Welcome back to Girl Talk, and di na nato langay-langayon pa. It is my honor to introduce to all of you and to welcome to the show the pride nato mga Bisaya, Chai Fonacier. Hi, Chai! Welcome to the show and thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Andy. I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
How are you? Kamusta na ka?
I'm still in my second week of quarantine. Actually, I can't go out of the house just yet. But I already finished my first week last week. I was holed up in a hotel alone before I could come back here.
Really?
But I'm feeling good. Thank you very much.
When did you arrive in the Philippines?
I think about 2 Mondays ago. Monday last week.
Congratulations, Chai, ha. As in, I keep on reading news articles about you and I also read your posts on Facebook para makitsika sa mga experiences dito. And as in, maka-proud gid kaayo ka. But before siguro we go to your experiences, we talk about your experiences during the shoot, we want to get to know you more first. So can you tell our viewers where you come from, unsa man gyud imong roots, kay murag nakabasa ko one of your Facebook posts kay imo tong gi-elaborate nga asa gid ka na ko, imong mom side, father side, sige go.
Yeah, because a lot of people get confused where I'm located or where I'm from. A lot of people would write, some people would write, I'm Cebu based, like, no, I'm in Metro Manila now. Guys, do your research a little bit. But really, going back to your question, I was born and I was raised in Cagayan de Oro, Northern Mindanao.
Okay.
And then I moved to Cebu to attend college, and I've lived there ever since until 2017 when I moved here. So I've only been here for about 2017, 18, 19, 20. Mag 4 years pa lang po diri sa Manila.
Okay.
Actually, but culturally, really, I identify more with Cebu because for sure, that's where, my formative years were. That's where I got my cultural awakening. That's where I started, going into local culture and just understanding who we are as mga Bisaya, that kind of stuff, especially through art, through the lens of art. So that's why I identify more with Cebu.
Now let's go back to your acting journey. Like, when did it start? When did you become interested in acting? Like, did it start when you were still in grade school ba? Where does your memory take you?
Just elementary, really. And then, you know how there's not a lot of proper theater schools or acting schools, especially outside of Metro Manila. Like, there's not a proper one in Cebu even.
Yeah.
Like, in Cagayan de Oro, there wasn't a proper one. So it's just really what you get from films and TV and all of that. And I was very interested in theater because of school guilds.
Yeah.
There's a theater, there's a drama club, etc., and all of that. But I didn't really get into acting professionally until 2015 when I did my first my first short films and my first feature films. 2015, 2016.
But when you were a child, Chai, did you ever see yourself becoming an actress, or was there any other profession nga murag mao to ang imong dream sa una?
When I was 5 years old, I thought I was going to grow up as a Ninja Turtle, and that is not a joke. That is not a joke.
Kinsa nga Ninja Turtle?
Si Michelangelo. Angelo, I swear.
No.
It's funny now when I talk about it. But looking back on it, it's kind of it, that's a little. It's coming from a little sad story, I think, because I would notice how the older folk, like siguro my friends, ni mama, mga inana ba, they treat the other kids or some of my siblings who are fairer skinned, they treat them differently, they treat me differently, and then they go, hala no, itong lagi si Chai, itong lagi si Chai, no, itong lagi si Charis, no. I'm like, why do they make that point? Why do they like, and I could feel it. You know, as a child, you're very sensitive. Yeah. I could feel it. So people would go like, you know, they'd find the fair-skinned kids more beautiful, and they'd be more, they'd shower them with more attention and whatever. So I'm like, I think looking back now, why I would declare nga Ninja Turtle or something, because unahan ako sila before they can say anything, before I start feeling bad or something as a 5-year-old. Of course, I didn't know how to articulate that when I was 5, but looking back now and just looking at the psychology of how I reacted to certain things, mura siya defense mechanism sa una ba, 5 pa ko aniha, and I'm like, when I realized that, this very recently ko nga, hala no, kalain, ay kasad, as early as 5, I was already starting to feel ugly. Kanang inana bitaw siya.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kibaka, I think that's a very important issue to point out. And I could also relate, like as a mom, because I have 2 kids. The other one, my older son, si Theo, he is also the more kanang mas kayumanggi siya compared to my younger child. And it was weird because he was born in Australia. I gave birth there, and it was weird because didto Chai, lahi ang ilahang acceptance, lahi ilang comments. I got different another kind of view from the people living there. They would always compliment his skin. Nga, nindot ko no kaayo, and grabe ko no kaayo, marag mo dyan na wala ang ilahang gustong i-achieve nga to. But when we came back here sa Cebu, lahi man sila og culture, especially, you know, the titos and titas nga, uy, itong lagi siya, di ba? And I always try to call them out. Nga naman di ay, unsa may naa, di ba? Oh, di ba? Na-strong na ko.
Yeah. There's always that kanang itong lagi siya, no? I'm like, and yeah, it's totally fine because I feel strongly about it. I could feel the difference in even the opportunities because I look like this, because I look like this, I look the way I do. And napag ginay muda ang mga tao usahay nga kanang moingon ko, just matter of factly I say nga, okay, I'm brown skinned, I have flat nose, kanang curly akong hair, and then they go, but you're beautiful. And I'm like, I didn't say I was ugly, I just said I'm brown. So why do you associate that with me feeling ugly now? Diba? But you're beautiful. Where did that need to patronize me come from? Diba? Of course. I didn't say I was ugly. I just said I'm brown. Yan na ba? So, there's a difference, but it also in opportunities and the kinds of roles that I get. So, it's so interesting now that I've worked on an international film. And just to see how nicely you're treated according to,
to your talent.
Ko dito, tabahanti ko dito nga tarong
diba? Yes.
Oo. Kanang inana bitaw.
As professional.
Yeah.
I tried hosting a mall show for kids. I'm not gonna name it, of course, but it was supposed to be a talent show for kids. Nga, mudaog unta ang pinaka-talented. Pero gibrief man lagi ang judges beforehand nga kinahanglan kuno ang padaugon more than the talent, kinahanglan ang puti. If naa gani kay makitaan nga anak sa afam, mas maayo ka na ang ipili because kuno ang represents. I don't want to go into more detail because I know nga murag daghang nga igo, pero heartbreaking kayo, no? Nga it was supposed to be a talent show, but muod judeng na ang tinuuray nga criteria for judging. And it's very, very sad. And hopefully, mawa na unta ng iuna nga culture. But anyway, Chai, going back to your experiences and your training in acting. So it really started with theater.
Yeah, it did. Community theater, not a proper theater school really. And then, mas ni-develop pag-itag samot pag abot na kong Cebu. especially during 2009, thereabouts, 2009 to 2013-14, because I was part of a group called Performing Arts Collective. And we were under the mentorship of the late Alex Ipuangco, which is maayo po kayo siya nga teacher.
Yeah.
So, and we played, we call it our sandbox. We play a lot. It's muna among term for it. We played a lot. We were not afraid to make mistakes, that sort of thing. And it was a very informal kind of education that I got. Like we would have workshops like in between. We would conduct workshops like really in between, but a lot of it really was just kanang murag OJT siya ba?
Yeah.
On the job training, more siya inana nga. We had a lot of discussions, so many discussions about the craft, etc. And then we would do improv, dramatic improv. We don't know where the story is going. Sometimes madrama siya, sometimes may siyang katawanan, wala na motuyua. So dito siya pinaka nag-develop pa. And it marked my transition from like big theater acting to small theater, because our experiences back then were fun ng mga coffee shop. Kaya man may mag-shows sa katong the old Handurao, if you remember, Turtle's Nest, you know, that kind of stuff. So where 30 people is full house. So mas gamay ginang imong acting, kay syempre mas gamay man ang imong theater space. And so nindot siya nga transition for when I finally started doing short films and feature films. And because then your audience is just right in front of you. Yeah, your audience is just right in front of you. That's the camera is just the audience. Anak siya nakaduol ba? So okay, there's sometimes nga maglisod ang mga theater people to kind of adjust from theater to film or TV unless hanas na ka. But for me, I had that gradual transition over the years before I jumped into film. So that's
But lahi rasag, you know, ang discipline that you learn if you start with theater. And I would have to say nga daghan na kung mga nailhan pod nga mga actors who are doing national films here in the Philippines nga gikan sa teatro, makaingon gid ko nga maayo sila kanang effective ang ilahang acting, and probably dako sad gyud og role ang na-play ang ilahang training sa teatro.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially when it comes to learning about your characters, it's dili wala man siya nalahi good actually ang process. Wala siya malahi kung mag-character background na ka. You study the history of your character, you sympathize with your character, you try to understand your character even if unlikable kaayo siya, you know, that sort of thing. And theater teaches you to ask the right questions so that you can get to certain information about your character, which then leads to a deeper understanding about him or her. And I can't also really say nga mas nindot ang theater kay lahi po nagdiscipline ang film. Nindot po when it comes to like the actual work na and the experience of medyo non-chronological nga acting ba, so you have to kind of piece things together in your head. So lahi po siya nga difference. I can't really say lahi nga difference, lahi na gani difference. Pero kanang I can't say one is better than the other. They're just different. And different lang din sila.
But I know I've always told people, and I want you to hear this yourself. Now, when it comes to acting, you are really one of those actors in the Philippines that I really look up to. And I would say I feel privileged to have worked with you during several theater shows here in Cebu. You remember The Gardener? I was browsing through my Facebook. 2011 pa to, gang. As in, 10 years ago, diba? And
I know.
I was your mother. Diba?
Nindot kaayo. Lingaw kaayo to.
It was also intimate theater, diba? We were at, sige nga na itong lugar. Sa may
Bantawan sa Cebu.
Yes, Bantawan sa Cebu.
Visitation.
Yes. And dito gid ko naka-witness sa imuhang acting prowess, and makaingon gid ko nga grabe, tunay na lodi gyud siya. Grabe gid mo internalize.
Salamat.
As in, and we're just really proud of you. And we want to know, Chai, the history of how you transitioned from Cebu to Manila. But we will be asking you these questions when we return here at Girl Talk. And we are back here at Girl Talk. Earlier, we've discussed the beginnings of Chai's acting career. Karon ato na sa siyang panghutanon. Giunsa man niya pag-transition from Cebu, when did you decide that you wanted to try the national film scene?
Oh wow, this is a funny story because I was also just telling another friend of mine yesterday about how I moved here because she didn't really know how that happened. It was just very quick. I've been told time and again before, as in throughout the last decade, that try Manila, but for the longest time I really just wasn't ready. I had a lot of learning to do, I had a lot of growing to do, and I wasn't ready, and I looked at Metro Manila as this monster that I don't understand. That I couldn't understand, that I didn't want to get to know that sort of stuff. But I'm glad that I didn't move when people were telling me to move, because then I moved here with a better understanding of things as opposed to when I was younger. But what happened was I was staying here in Metro Manila in 2017 around May, I think, because we were shooting Respeto.
You won awards for.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, actually, very surprising, really. But I was shooting Respeto, and I was nasod ko sa Dispak.
Oh, which year?
So, yeah.
Was this katong
This is 2017.
katong nadaog ka, kundi pa lang kubuang.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then?
Yeah. So, at the end of mga around June, I went back to Cebu to do the competition and all of that. But I still had to come back to Metro Manila after that to do a few promotions for my Jesus and other stuff. When the production asked me about Chai, kano sa man imong ganahan nga return flight? And I just looked at the chat box and I said, one way na lang na siya. One way lang sa siya.
Okay.
And then I sat there for 20 minutes. And then it started sinking in. Oh Lord, I'm leaving.
How did you feel when you made that decision?
I just sat there for 20 minutes staring at my screen when I said one way, 20 minutes, and then it sank in. Oh wow, I'm leaving. I am leaving. So full-on anxiety. My friends had to drive me to the airport when I had to go and leave. And I was looking at the Mactan Bridge and I'm like, is this the last time I'm crossing this bridge as a resident in Cebu? And I'm like, Lord. And all I brought with me was a big backpack of clothes, a bag of books and a few shoes, and a broken record player. And I don't understand why I brought that with me. Broken record player. Grab stuff and all of that. Kanang kuan hapit pa jud ko balik. Kung wala ko gihatod sa akong mga amigos sa airport, I might have missed my flight, man.
No?
So pagbalik na ko, I was so I've been staying in that place na where I was staying at for the duration of the filming. For mga few weeks now, mga few weeks na, and then I go back and I'm like, okay, so this is my first residence in Metro Manila. Just looking at things and I'm like, agadiri ba jud ko niya, medyo in denial pa ko ba kay like, okay ra ko mabalhin kay pwede naman ko maglupad-lupad balik sa Cebu, and then eventually it kind of lisod di ay siya.
Really?
Lisod di ay siya ibalik-balik. I mean, it's naanad magug ko like kung Cebu mato ra tag Dumaguete, tabok ra ta, ganantam adto Bohol, tabok ra ta mo na. So I was kind of thinking of maybe I can do that. Just hop on a plane, that thing. And eventually it was like, no. It's a different kind of nalahi ang akong not really like lifestyle, nalahi ang akong schedules, nalahi ang akong rhythm. That's the term that I'm looking for. Nalahi akong rhythm diri ba. I had to kind of get to know that.
Did you have everything in place or everything laid out for you? Like, naka-arrange na ba kag asa ka mo stay? Unsa imong first step para maka-land ka og role in national films? Like, how did you do it?
I had no clue. I had no plan. That was very reckless. That was a very reckless, impulsive decision, actually. I had a place to stay because that's the production kanang made sure nga I was staying someplace, you know. But everything else after that, I had zero plans. I did not know what I was going to expect. I did not know what I was supposed to do. I did not know a lot of people except for the people that I know from production, from the productions that I worked with sa Patay na si Jesus and sa Respeto and sa Pauwi na before. But the people who really helped me a lot actually was katong pinaka-first ako nga nag-manage nako si Moira Lang, who also is the producer of Patay na si Jesus. And then eventually she just hooked me up with these other people until we're okay. Started getting to know people, started landing roles and all of that stuff with the help of my management then. And I mean there's also like a lot of dry spells in between, but when you get a job, then that's good. Ina na siya, wala siya ko'y plano gyud ato gyud, as in palit siya to gyud.
So spontaneous ra gyud tanan.
Yeah, adventure kayo, grabe ha.
Pero Chai, somebody might be watching this right now and somebody out there who's in Cebu or in whatever province nga gustong mo start og acting career in Manila, nga gustong mo sud og films dito or commercials. Unsa gid angay nila buhaton? Because I know of just a few people, for example, I'm sure you know Makoy, Bulongon, Malaya, si Alem, you know, they started their careers in Manila na sad. And curious lang ko, how does it start? Like, do you have to have a handler, a manager? Kinahanglan ba ka mo go through a series of auditions? Because I've also seen one of the videos of Tony Gonzaga when she was telling the story about her life, how she started her career and how she failed multiple auditions, and even the Tony Gonzaga wasn't considered as fair-skinned. Itom na kuno sila sa ilang pananaw, di ba? Inana siya kagrabe nga Tony Gonzaga, haler. Nga, muna, Marga, curious lang ko, how does it happen? Unsa man angay nimong buhaton kung gusto ka mag-artista sa Manila?
Kung ganahan ka mag-actor, actually, in terms of like how to navigate the industry, I would say I'm not the best person to ask that because I got lucky. Admittedly, I got lucky. I started films in Cebu. So we were trying to tell our stories, our regional stories. We had regional directors who were doing their first films who got grants from film festivals like Cinema One and Q Cinema and all of that stuff. And you know, I was a freelancer. They could pluck me out anytime nga main sila nga mag-shoot ugma. Like, okay, freelancer man ko. I don't have HR to contend with to file a leave and stuff.
Okay.
I could just, you know, go. I could go. And also, si Ara, especially si Ara Chowdhury, for some of the scripts that she was writing, she already had me in mind. Those were the first few films that I did. The one with the one for Ara's Sinulog Film Festival.
Ako'y bahala sa iro. Paniti ang prutas.
Kang Bambi Beltran nga Sinulog Festival ang film, and then eventually Ara got into Cinema One, which is then we did Miss Bulalakaw. That's when I started getting my name out because I got into this industry through the festivals. A lot of the people I have friends who got into the industry through different means, like like Extra, and then they would do commercials, and then they would get into films and all of that stuff. Na uban nga they would start, I don't know, somewhere else. So I would say I really got lucky. But if you want to try it out, I guess start from home would be good. Start from, you know, neighboring place would be good. Get to know the local filmmakers because we do not have enough regional films going around.
Yeah, right.
We need to tell our regional stories. As in kinahanglan gid siya. More stories from the regions gid.
Okay, problema. Murag na gani ba? I think.
Because we don't. It's always the same fare. It's always the same culture that we're seeing, but there's nothing coming from our house, bakubaga.
Yeah.
So then maybe you could get into the industry the way I did, through festivals. kanang inana. So or make your own films, do your own kanang stories and check out the festivals. Submit dito, tanawa kung asa ka malupad. Inana murag muna siya ang kwan. I'm not gonna lie, it's not gonna be easy. It's gonna be really, really hard. It's not a kanang nasa na misconception ng mga tao ba nga ay mag-artista ko kay madato ko inana murag no, honey, it's no. That is so not true. That is not 100% true.
Yeah.
Ako di ba ko ma-consider nga dato? Di ba ko ma-consider nga dato? Ging. Kung dato pa ko, nindot ako internet karon. Di ba?
That's mas kayo.
Na.
Diba?
Or muna siya, another thing that if you really want to start, if you really, really want to start, skill and talent is, I think, dako siya nga weight for me. Because if you can do stuff, if you are good, and if you keep improving yourself, and you keep just educating yourself or getting the education that you can get by siguro workshops or something, and kung dili ka afford of workshops, watch good films, kanang just educate yourself ba. It's easier. I think it's easier. It'll make it easier to get into it because you're capable. It's capability yun ang yeah.
How is it like, Chai? How is it like
improving.
to be a Bisaya actor in Manila? Is it challenging?
Okay na ba siya? Kuan lang, I get, di man gid siya nga na jud ka bugat in terms of like how they treat you or something. Naalang gyoy certain for me cause it's part of my politics manggod to kind of kanang regional representation ba.
Yeah.
So ako saba kay ko about me being from Cebu, saba kay ko about loving my own language, loving our own culture and all of that stuff. Naalang jay sometimes nga murag and you'd think na mawala na ni siya because it's 2021, you know, or it's 2020, it's 2019 nga na. Naagi hapoy, you know, posible ka mapunta sa mga role nga kanang tingnan ka nga kanang Bisaya man ka, di ba? Yeah, Bisaya ako. Sige, can you do your funny Cebuano accent? Can you make it more Cebuano? I'm like, what is more Cebuano?
Wait lang, what is a funny Cebuano accent? What's silang pasabot, ha?
Bro, siya. I don't know.
How do you respond to that?
So there's, nag-exist gihapon siya nga. Yeah, ga-exist gihapon siya nga kanang reaction bitaw or kanang mga instructions. And then I get taken aback because like this was not part of the characterization that you gave me, and all of a sudden you're forcing me to ridicule my own culture. That's very insulting. So I'm very wary about these things. I have had some really good roles where sige, Chai, Cebuano ka nga, di ba, Linog Metro Manila. And I would have a Cebuano accent, pero dili siya katawaan sa mga fellow actors. Mura ginana ba? Dili siya point of ridicule ba? Yan, it's just the way I am. Ana lang yun siya. These are the roles that I appreciate. Born Beautiful was ing ana, nga kanang murag Bisaya akong character, pero never siya gihimo nga nga point of ridicule bitaw. It's just part of my character. Yan na siya. So I like those kinds of roles. There are certain roles where I turned them down because I felt like diha siya padung. Ang nga na po akong pagkabisaya ani nana ko'y feeling ba, especially when I ask about the character and they're not very clear about what the role actually is, mo ko pass lang sa taday kay murag ka-feel gani ko nga murag binuangan po tani ay okay raman magbugal-bugal, okay raman bugal-bugalan, bugal-bugal biya ta nga mga tao ha. You're very humorous people. Ayaw lang panamas-tamasi ang akong kung asa ko gikan, unsa ko nga kultura gikan, and don't use me as your token representation. Kanang inana bitaw nga murag, this is the token Cebuano.
Yeah.
Girl, seryoso, murag kapoy. abi na kong natiwas na ang 90s. Kanang inana bitaw.
Wala pa, Jai. Wala pa nahuman.
To some people, if Bisaya, to some to some people, who mga actors na move here, they probably don't mind that na murag mo dawat na lang sila or whatever. But the thing is, ako magod, I mind. I really mind. So ikaw, if you're the kind of person nga kanang okay, sige, dawat lang. Okay, sige, imuha po na siya. But I would encourage you to mind.
And you know what? I thank you for how you respond to those kinds of situations. Daghan kayong salamat, Chai, for defending our culture and our identity as mga Bisaya. Anyway,
Thank you.
Chai, when we return, we are also very excited to know more about your experiences from the local, national, unya karon international na gyud nga scenes. So stand by. We will be back here at Girl Talk. Welcome back to Girl Talk, and we are still with the Chai Fonacier. And now, ato na sad siyang chikahon about her experiences in the international film industry. So Chai, let us know, how did you become casted in one of the roles of Nocebo?
Okay, so si Bianca Galguena, who is a producer that I've worked with for Patay na Jesus and for Bulalakaw, and she's also a schoolmate sa UP Cebu. Kanang I know her as a producer. Kabalo ko nga she takes on very unique stories. So when she messaged me and asked if I wanted to audition for this role, I'm like, okay, if it's Bianca, sure, I'm gonna go. Ditso jud na parang no questions asked ko usually anak niya ni Bianca kay kibaw jud nga insisting ang stories. So I auditioned, I sent in an audition tape, an audition video. And so there was one time I was asking about the character background and all of that, and nang answer na po si Bianca, and then she informed me nga si Eva Green.
Yeah.
Si Eva Green ang kuyo. So nawindang ko kung ako, murag, okay, sige, sige, tarungon lang tani. Ato lang ni tarungon. So napatabang ko sa akong boyfriend, napatabang ko sa akong mga amigo, si Lens, as ligan pa jud, video call me and all of that stuff. But this was about November of last year, I think. So it was around December when I found out na kadang
Ikaw ang
nagata
nagawa.
part.
What did you do for your audition, please?
Usually for films, what they do is they send you certain scenes in the film, and then so mag-ask ka character background, unsa may other context ani nga eksena, whatever, and then you just study that scene, that one, 2 or 3 scenes they want to see you do. Yeah. And then you tape it. Just mag-tape lang ka. So ay mag-tape karaan mag-record ng video ni mo ba? Record ng video ni mo, just send it. That's what film and TV auditions go.
So how was the
wonderful.
filming experience like? Was it different? Do they have different styles when it comes to filming sa international compared to your experiences sa itong mga national films?
I think it's not so much as sa style, kay if hatagan tagtarong nga budget diri sa Pilipinas, magtinarong man ta in terms of the hours, in terms of the way we shoot certain scenes nga dili magdali kanunay kanang ina bitaw. Ang movie na makapatay gid sa ato agid budget, kay kung gamay ra ang budget, patyon ka sa kapoy, patyon ka sa kanang malata ni mong utok, wala na kay kahatag ba kanang shoot mo padung alas 3. I mean right now it's limited na to 12 hours ang sa Pilipinas because of the pandemic, pero before 24 hours ang shoot, and that's really not healthy. Kina siya healthy gyud, pero dito murag taas na kay ng 14. That's a really long day na daw sa ilaha. So karon 9 hours lang per day, and Monday to Friday we have 2 weekends off, and it actually feels like work. That's what I appreciated dito ba. It really feels like work nga kanang nabanti jud ko dito ba. Kanang inana bitaw nga mag-focus ako sa akong character, kay sila nag-focus po sila sa each department nila niya. Ako kay okay sige. Kanang way daghang samok. Way daghang not so much noise. I guess also because of the pandemic nga we're all in the same bubble.
Yeah.
Ang nindot po dito as in test, we get tested thrice a week.
Ah, really?
Yeah, thrice a week. Thrice a week kami mag-test just to make sure everybody's
Wow.
everybody is kanang healthy and everybody's kanang negative ingan na bitaw. I appreciate the amount of time that they give for particular scenes. Nga sometimes nakabantay ko na ako yung isa ka director sa una nga naingnan siya nga langayan kuno kay siya mo shoot. Langayan daw siya mo shoot for Philippine standards, and I'm like, bitaw no, dugay kay siya mo spend og time for one scene. Sige balik-balik until she gets all of her shots. When I went to Ireland, iko nga kagets nako, I understand what she was doing. But actually, I liked what she was doing. The other people kind of nagreklamo sila. But when I went to Ireland, and that kind of may parallel siya ba sa what this other director was doing. Iko nga, now I understand what she was doing. Inanay gid ay na siya dapat, and I actually really appreciate this process na mas taas og oras for all of the for each scene kumbaga. And it gives you more time to kind of really dive into your character and understand what's going on, and to connect with your fellow actors when you need to, and to discuss with your director when you need to, and all of that stuff.
All right, so now let's go to your acting experiences with Eva Green and Mark Strong. Na-starstruck ka when you saw them. Like, you've been seeing them in movies. Diba? Murag, oh my gosh. Nagkakuyog na gid niya na, just nagkakita, but you are working with them.
Kaayo, uy, nakuan ko. Kanang, tinasiguano ba nga kanang murag, sige, mag-fangirl ta inside. Inside, ha? Dili ka mag-samok-samok, di ka mag-impose sa imong self sa iya, ha? Utong na dahil, respetua iyang espasyo dahil, ha? Dili ka mag-parla. Pero, but really, the first time that I actually saw her was, when I actually met her, yun, was in a Zoom call, kay nag-quarantine pa mang kwadto, and we had to read our scenes. So, pagkita na ko diya sa Zoom, ito nga, excited kay ko nga, oh my God, it's her. Oh my God, it's her. Kay ang weird pa jud kayo adto, Andy, before I got the call to audition, the invitation to audition. The week before that, nagsige ko kan og Penny Dreadful. Nagsige ko tanaw atong yang eksena nga katong gipossess siya og mga tulo ka espiritu. And I was just nerding out about it with my friend. Like, you see this? Do you see what she did? Like, oh my God, nag-dissect namin sa eksena, yung sa katig-shoot, sa kagiagian niya. That was Eva. Next week, I get the call to audition, and then later on, I find out nga si Eva Green, and then I find out that I've gotten the role. And then so I look at her on Zoom, and I was thinking back towards that kanang memory ba nga, na kasturya na tika day unya katong before ko nag-audition, wa pa jud ko kay ba nga mabuhat man ning eksena, kay nagtan-aw ra ba ko nimo dito nga na-possess ka sa Penny Dreadful. No, layo na. Malayo na rin ang ating narating day. Naka-Zoom na tika, di ba?
Kana murag napaka sa 300 sa una niya karon kay
syempre kanang di ba? Syempre behave ra ta. Behave ka, di ba? Behave ko. Unya kana when I finally met her in person, okay, she was in the middle of shooting a scene, and I had to go to my waiting room. Siyempre, dili ka pwede mag-shake hands kay COVID ba? So, siko-siko ra tanan. Siko-siko ra tanan. Oh my God, it's her. Oh my God, it's her. Siko. Hi, Chai. Siko. And then, like, taka na ko ba? Siko-siko ko, di ba, Green? No, but that was like the first few days. Eventually, because of how manad ka. Like, eventually because of how focused everybody is, and then ako po, it's just really me and my character at the time. I'm just trying to understand how things are working and how Eva is doing her character, so that kabalo po ko sa react ba as my character. So kanang and eventually wala trabaho gid siya nga trabaho ra gid siya ba nindot kay siya. She's such a joy to watch. Balik-balik ko kay Surya. She's a joy to watch nga kung inig-work siya.
How is she as a co-actor, Chai?
Intense, dai. Nindot kayo siya ka play off o kanang energy ba?
Yan naman.
She's really there. Di kabiyaan. Di kabiyaan bisag kanang, for example, the shot is on me. Let's say the shot is on me na di siya makita sa camera. siya mo storya sa iyang mga lines. She doesn't have somebody else read her lines. Siya mo storya sa iyang lines mo. Kuan, kung niya biyaan ba? O di siyang biya. So ako po, trip ko niya kay, di ba? I mean,
So, supportive
kami
kayo.
usually,
Lagi
most
ng
of the
support,
scenes kami,
no?
kayo diba? Yeah. And teatro kayo na nga ka ng, drama school po kayo na, teatro po kayo na nga ka ng batasan ba ka? Support.
Yeah.
Pinaka-importante, more than the ability to cry, actually.
Yeah. You know what, right now, I can hear Miss Daisy Bad's voice screaming, support during rehearsals. Di ba, Mark, nanglimdaot kong balibo.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, Chai, I've been stalking her Instagram page and she barely posts anything about her co-actors. Pero dahil ikaw, Jude, ang gipili niya. She actually posted a photo of the both of you and she said that you blew her away.
Yeah.
How did you react to that?
Pag una na kong kita ito, niyo ko lagi unhan ko siya ti ay. Di ka nag-think na ba ako kadang namo ko'y kopya ito ka picture. Si among director mo nag-take ato nga picture nindot kay yung black and white ka-happy. And then wala gito nga kadang ganahan biya kay ko mag-craft og mga kanang mga caption ako sa Instagram kay mura man na akong journal. Mura ng mga journal entries na ko ba writing exercise, ingana, pero also story sharing, ingana. So kato nga photo, ganahan na gyud ako nga kanang nindot ko caption, to kanang kay part siya sa akong memory bank, nindot siya nga kanang picture, ingana. Pagkita na ko day sa post day, kay nakaingon ko, yunhan man ko, uy.
Gikilig ka para nimo. Pero nasan mo yung scenes ni Mark Strong?
Pero gikilig.
Chai, nasan mo yung
Oh my God. Oh,
how was it like working with
he's
him?
wonderful. Oh, he's wonderful. He's kanang kung nakoy pangutan, he's very generous with his thoughts about things. Wala kamusta hay, story about kinabuhi. He's very generous kanang mag about his opinions on certain things nga I would ask. So, nindot kaayo siya ka story. He's very sweet, he's very warm. Nga na bitaw nga klase nga person. Nga ganahan siya mga iro. Nangan gid mga iro. Parehas lag iro ni Eva. Schnauzer. So, nag-geek out sila about mga schnauzer.
Before we end and before we ask for your parting advice and your message to your fans, we've prepared actually a list of 20 questions for you. So we call it the random 20. And you just give whatever answer pops in your head at that moment. So first question, what is your favorite Bisaya word?
Ambot.
Ambot.
Yeah. Kana. Yeah.
Okay. Second, number 2, kinsa imong idol nga artista, national, sa Philippines?
Usara
lang. Karon lang, top of the mind.
Yeah, Ronnie
top of the
Lazaro.
mind. Okay. How about sa international? Juan Rasad, top of the mind.
Viola Davis.
Next question, a profession that you've always wanted to do aside from acting?
A profession, cat facility, kitten section.
What is your pet peeve?
Pet peeve? Daghan. Sa orile ko. Kanang question nga, anong chai ang aasahan naming makita dito sa pelikulang ito? Lagot ka na. Unsang klaseng chai ang inyong ganahan, ang inyong makitaan ani nga pelikula. Ang akong trabaho is to not be chai every damn time.
Exactly.
What kind of question is that?
Sige, next question. Favorite food or delicacy sa mga Bisaya?
Cliche kay siya, no?
Yeah.
Cliche kayo ni, pero also because dugay-dugay na kuha kakaon ani. Lechon day.
Diba, appear? Wa man jud siguro mo tanggi og lechon. Next question. One word that best describes Bisaya performers.
Bisaya performers kanang, or I would go so far as to say kanang Bisaya storytellers.
Okay. Sige, go.
Nay kanang nikalag.
Nice.
Kanang laom
Yeah, very deep,
laom
no?
kayo when it comes to yan na.
Sige. What is your favorite drink?
Favorite drink kanang kuanging beer.
Kanang mamatid siya
Dili. Katong gamay.
Sige, next question. If you were to rank the two, what would go first? Music or acting?
Akong quick na tubag anak no kay wala. Because ultimately we who do multiple we who go into multiple nga mga art forms, they all feed into each other, manggod. They really all feed into each other. So I don't treat them as kanang completely separate. So muna siya akong quick na tubag anak.
Okay. Next question. Your love life status. Pag showbiz kayo. Love life status.
Ano siya diri ay?
Naraday din sa tabi-tabi. Favorite movie? Usa lang.
Tinuo ko ayaw jud pangutan laging libra lagi og inana lagi kay decisive kayo mute. Sige kanang lingaw nga film nga kanang right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
One of my kanang mga go-to. The Lunchbox, which stars the great Irfan Khan. Ganahan ko niya, my God.
Sige, go.
Yeah.
Next. Which do you prefer? Dagat or bukid?
Dagat.
Ginamos or hipon?
Ginamos.
Sa gulog ko.
Sige, ginamos.
Nilong aga saging, di ba?
Oh my God, yes.
Asa ka mas ganahan mo kaon? Sa Jollibee or sa McDo?
Kung ang manok, Jollibee, kung fries, McDo. Anak.
Same answer here. Kani, a director who has made the most impact in your life?
Kuan, theater director, si Alex Ipangko, actually.
If you could be anywhere in the world right now, where would it be?
Dublin. Balik ko dito, Jai.
Next.
Balik ko dito, Jai.
Kani Chai, who is your celebrity crush?
Dili kay ko murag heavy mag-crush og mga aktor. Wa man day.
Siguro pero based on track
Wa man
record.
day.
Kung based on track record, like sa
Based
acting
on-
skills, nga mura bitog, siguro di ka ma-crush because gwapuhan ka, but because maayuhan kay kaniya.
Si Irfan Khan, there.
Tamis or parat? Which would you prefer?
Parat.
Uwan or init?
Init.
Last question. Complete the lyrics of the line of your song. Kung di pa lang kubo ang complete the statement.
Unsa man na siya? According to my lyrics or
According to you or
kanang
your life.
magbuhat og lain.
No. Kanang something that you can relate to.
According to my life, kung di pa lang kubuang, wa tingali ko maabot ani nga pelikula day. Wa tingali ko makita ang iba green kung di pa lang kubuang.
Nice
Inuwan dyan na siya.
Sige, Chai, before we end, we'd like to get your message. First, sa imuhang supporters, to those who look up to you and who has been supporting you since day one, since you started from the local and now to the international film industry, what is your message to them?
Ako message to them kasi mga guys started from sa op and now we're here. I'm joking. So di bitaw ay salamat kaayo kay bro. I would say nga kanang this journey so far really has also involved a lot of pain. It's been very painful as well as kanang happy siya and fulfilling, but it's naa siya mga certain traumatic na mga epekto pud sa ako and when I hear that somebody says, you know, the way you did that role kanang affected me positively. Mura ko kanang so kanindot ani nakabuhat da ko sa akong trabaho ug tarong. And these supporters they may not be 1 million people, but kanang I know who they are, what kind of tibaw ko sa market ba. Yeah. Tibaw ko nga kanang they're the kind of people nga kanang honest, nga mga palaban pulutro nga kanang inana bitaw siya and I want to thank them for you know watching the kinds of films that I do, which is dili kanunay baya siya nga dili siya kanunay naa sa mainstream, di ba?
Yeah.
But these people actually seek my films, the films that I was in. They seek these films out, and these films also need need the support of these people. So salamat kayo actually. Sabi niyo yung pagbayad sa mga ticket na ay naka nasweldoan og tarong kanang inana ba?
Yeah.
Kanang and in exchange for I hope nga na-enrich mo sa among gibuhat. Salamat kaayo kay kabaw na ka di ba pang mainstream dai, di ba? Pero nagyapon sila. So murag laban lang ta mga saop. Laban. Ang akong mga fellow saop.
Chai, we would like to know, when mani makitaan ang Nocebo, will we be able to see it here in the Philippines?
I think so, pero di pa ko sure kung exactly kano sa siya magawas. I think next year pa because they spend like di magut ng pareha sa Pilipinas no 1, 2 months, 3 months post production ba sila kay dugay pa dyan so murag next year pa ni siya. Wala pa ko exact nga kanang estimate sa what part of the year pero murag next year pa ni siya.
Thank you so much for accepting our invitation to be a part of this episode.
Salamat.
And as what I've always said, I am a fan of yours, as in, baujud ko ni mo siya. When it comes to acting,
Salamat, Andy.
I really admire your work.
Love you.
And thank you so much sa pagsaka sa love you, Dai, sa pagsaka sa bandera sa mga Bisaya. And this wraps our episode for Girl Talk. Daghan kayong salamat for watching. And if there's any takeaway nga akong nakuha from this episode that I've learned from Chai, it's really making sure that you start somewhere if you have big dreams, and also making sure that you take your craft to heart and as much as possible be skilled at what you do. Always learn, and learn. So daghan kayong salamat. This has been Andrea Patanya Matthew for Girl Talk.